Thank you for joining us. I'm Joy.
And I'm Laura.
And this is The Witches of Letters, a supernatural rewatch podcast.
Buckle up as we dive into Season 1, Episode 14, Nightmare.
How did you feel about this episode?
I thought this one was alright. It's still good, like Supernatural's still good, but it's a bit more of like a faith episode for me, where it didn't have as many funny moments as I'd have liked. It was a bit depressing again.
This is a dark episode.
Yeah. My favourite episodes are the ones that make you really, really scared, but then laugh hysterically afterwards, where we have those moments. I love those.
See, I also am a horror comedy person. Horror comedy is my preferred genre.
Yeah.
And usually Supernatural is horror comedy. It's great. It's like hot fuzz. But there are times when it goes quite Buffy, because you know, like how Buffy would have super dark episodes, like you'd have the funniness, but then you'd have the really dark episodes that would make you feel like your soul was leaving your body and you were just dying. It's like that. This episode, like, kind of triggering, not gonna lie. Like, not my favorite. I feel like okay. It's not that it's not my favorite because the episode's bad. It's not my favorite because it's just a hard watch. Like, it's like a really, really hard to watch episode.
Yeah.
However,
definitely
there is priest uniforms. There is the priest uniforms. And that really just sort of smooth things over for me a little bit.
Yeah. I liked that we got some links to the Winchesters as well. So this, like, the links to how Mary died and things. And I also thought it was good to get more information about Sam's visions, because they're becoming stronger by the looks of it.
Yeah, we learn that his powers are really expanding in this episode, and it finally kind of ties back into the main storyline. So I feel like actually the most depressing episodes, correct me if I'm wrong, but the most depressing episodes are all the main storyline episodes.
Well, Faith.
Yeah. Faith is a main storyline episode. This is a main storyline episode.
Yeah.
The one Home is very much a main storyline episode. And while there are funny parts of that one is also pretty dark. Like, I love Home, don't get me wrong. But without Missouri in that episode, it would be miserable.
Yeah, I suppose actually. I was thinking it was a funny episode, but it was because of her.
It's literally Missouri that makes it funny. Without Missouri, it'd be really, really, really emotionally hard going, I think. So yeah, I feel like my opinion,
very first, the pilot was obviously a main.
Yep. Yeah. My opinion is the darkest emotional episodes are all the main storyline episodes. And then the creature feature episodes, which are all my favorite episodes, are more horror comedy. Like, there's a lot more comedy in those.
Yeah, they're my favorite ones too.
Okay, should we do the synopsis?
Yes. Okay, so this is Season 1, Episode 14, Nightmare. The original air date for this episode was February 7th, 2006. Sam has a series of visions of violent deaths, most of which come true. They all centre around one family, and through investigating, they realise Max, the son of the first victim and nephew of the second, is behind the deaths. And he has telekinetic powers and is using these powers to kill the adults in his life who have abused him. He also tries to kill his stepmom, but Sam and Dean manage to prevent this vision from coming true, although Max ends up taking his own life instead. During this episode, we also find out that Max's mother died when he was a baby, in the same way Mary Winchester did. This, coupled with the fact that both him and Sam have psychic powers, leads us to believe there is some connection between them, and that it wasn't just the Winchesters who were visited by the demon they are now hunting.
Demony goodness again.
Yeah, I want to know what's going on with all these demons. Like, do we actually see some demons at some point? Well, I'm guessing we will, but...
Yeah, you for sure will.
But we saw Meg.
Mm-hmm. I keep almost giving you an accidental spoiler because there's another female demon who has a different name. And I keep almost accidentally saying that name instead, which would be an enormous spoiler. And I'm trying so hard to not mess up and do that.
Oh, that makes me think. Is it someone that I already know or not? Don't answer, but
you needed to have seen the look
she
gives me when stuff like, don't answer. She'll start talking to this, be like, Joy, don't answer. She's gonna be like the death glare. It's like, "All right, Laura, it's fine. I wasn't gonna I'm not doing anything.
Like,
I'm holding my hands up, I'm backing away."
it's because I'm like, sometimes I don't know if you would just answer the question because you think I'm asking the question, and then be like, "Oh, wait."
That's fair, that's fair. So, this episode opens like a horror movie. Um, it's really, really, really
Yeah,
spooky. Uh, we find out what state we're in because of the license plate of this car. It's driving down the road, and at first I thought it was the Impala, and then I realized that's not the Impala, but it's like an old, dark-looking classic car. Pulls into the garage, and everything seems kind of normal. And if you haven't worked out which car it is, you're kind of expecting Sam and Dean to get out of it, and this to be something.
yeah,
Um, but then we realize that it's not. It's a different classic car, and there is a guy inside. And as he rolls into the garage, he goes to turn off the engine, and then the garage door just shuts on its own, and it looks like slightly violent, and he looks really confused and a little bit scared by it. And then the car's engine turns itself on as he's watching, and the exhaust fumes start visibly filling up the the garage, this
mm,
enclosed space, and you can see him freaking out. He's screaming. The color edit is all desaturated grays, so it looks like he's literally like dying in front of your eyes. It's really terrifying. He's so completely helpless,
yeah.
and the radio starts like randomly switching stations as well too. Um, which makes us at first, we all probably think this is some kind of violent poltergeist because there's all the flickering stuff and the typical violence that we would associate with a poltergeist. Um, but this death scene really hit me because it's just so horrifying. It's honestly so scary. He's so helpless because of the carbon monoxide poisoning and how quickly it acts. And I don't know how realistic that is because I don't know how long that would actually take, but it's literally, literally scary. And I was like clutching the blankets watching this scene, you know?
So yeah, so I thought it was a poltergeist at first too, because that's all you can really think about with the context that we have so far in the episode. And like things are moving without, like, the locks on the car are moving and the garage door is closing and there's no one that we can see. So that's what you would assume, isn't it? Why is it that whenever things are haunted, like the radio comes on, that's happened quite a few times and it that always scares me. The I think it happened in, what was the monster truck one? Route 666,
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
I think it might have happened in the pilot as well.
Yeah.
That's a good spooky
Maybe.
thing.
Yeah. It is really terrifying. And I think that it's honestly an excellent way to kick off a really scary episode. This one is so dark, um, and so spooky. So for fans of horror, I think this would probably be one of their favorite episodes, especially if you like sort of like slightly realistic horror, because this one is human monsters. And I think for fans of that kind of like dark, gritty, emotional horror, this would be their favorite.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then so the guy, he dies in the car, and then Sam wakes up, and we know that it was a vision or a nightmare,
Yeah.
which is one that then does later come true. Is the first one.
Yeah. So this is where we learn that Sam is having like prophetic dreams, basically.
Yeah, and he wants to try and find the house, doesn't he? And he because he's seen the number plate, so he can do that. I made a note that the transition between the scene of them in the motel to then in the car was really cool because it was like the you looked at, it was like the lamp in the hotel room or the motel room, and then the headlights on the car. I thought that was
Yeah, no,
cool.
it was really, really cool. They closed in on the hotel lamplight, and then when they pull out, they've pulled out on the front headlight of the Impala. And it's just this dark
Yeah,
road, and it's really moody and really atmospheric, and I love it so much. I think it's
I liked
great.
it.
The other thing that I thought was cool is Sam really has taken charge. So, like, in the scene before, he shakes Dean awake and is like, "We have to go."
Yeah.
And he's like, "What's happening?" And Sam says, "We have to go right now." And then he just grabs his stuff and he just leaves. Like, Sam is in charge. Sam is big brother in this episode. Um, and
Gone are the days where he's like, "No, I don't want to go anywhere,"
oh yeah, it's
and
the
stamping his
opposite
little
now.
feet.
Stabbing his little
Yeah.
feet. With that supernatural wiki puts bitch face. Oh no. Like
Yeah.
almost all of his scenes, just Sam, bitch face. Like almost to the degree that they're basically calling him bitch face Sam.
Yeah. They must be Dean fans. I don't see why you can't be both. I'm still parked firmly in both.
So I have to say, like rewatching this, I'm leaning more Sam in certain episodes. I have
Yeah.
never leaned Sam in my life. Like I've enjoyed him as a character. Like I've grown
Mhm.
to care about him and love him, but I've never leaned Sam before. But I lean Sam now, and I don't know if that's because I've done some really good therapy.
Probably.
I feel like
Lean Sam.
unhealed trauma, and you have to be attracted to Dean, the hot bad boy. Healed
Yeah.
trauma, and Sam being so emotionally evolved and just like lovely. You go, oh,
Mhm.
okay.
He's a nice
That's
boy.
yeah, the capability to be attracted to an emotionally stable man. You know, therapy.
I think if I had watched this when it was out 20 years ago, so it would have been like, what, little 17-year-old me,
Yeah,
I would have definitely preferred Dean. But yeah, I am more Sam, but I like both of them because I like goofy Dean.
yeah, yeah. Like Dean is fantastic 99% of the time, maybe 95% of the time. And
Yeah.
I love him so much, but every once in a while we get an episode and I'm just like, Sam, it's Sam. So since I did the Easter egg last time about how Eric Kripke basically has written Sam as himself, like Sam is like his self-insert
Yeah.
character. And since we know that he wrote this episode, I wonder if the episodes where Sam is the best and Sam is the lead, I wonder if those are Kripke episodes. Conspiracy theory number 12.
We'll have to go back and watch no, not watch, read. So basically the last two episodes, aren't they, have been Sam centric.
Yeah.
Which one was the
Yeah.
one with where we saw Meg?
That one is Asylum.
That was Scarecrow, wasn't it?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Scarecrow. And then Faith was quite Sam. So, well, yeah, we'll have to go and see. Although he probably had a
Yeah.
say in most of the episodes, though, didn't he? Because he
Well,
was
I
the
know he wrote, I'm like
big boss
99%
man.
sure that he wrote Faith.
Yeah. So he
So
might as
yeah,
well be
I
depressing ones.
maintain this. I maintain this. I think that the Kripke episodes are the Sam episodes and vice versa because Kripke is Sam and Sam is Kripke. You guys are deprived of the fact that you can't see me waving my arms around like a crazy person while I divulge my conspiracy theory, but it's happening. Rest assured.
Yes, I can confirm.
Yeah, Laura can see it. I'm just sitting here all riled up, waving my arms around. Sam is Kripke. Kripke is Sam. So, to return to being professional podcasters, okay. Sam and Dean are in the Impala and they're driving. And here's another thing. Not at the time did I say that this was a Sam thirst trap, but now I'm going to say that this is a Sam thirst trap. I actually am. And I feel like Laura may or may not agree with me, but Sam is talking to the police and he goes, McReady, Detective McReady, badge number 158. I've got a signal 480 in progress. I need the registered owner of a two-door sedan, Michigan license plate, Mary Frank 6037. Yeah, okay, just hurry. Like, he's so fucking authoritative and believable. And we know that he's doing it because he's trying to solve a murder or save a life. And that's hot. Okay. Sam girls, I understand you. I
Yeah.
understand you more and more every episode, I swear.
Yeah, I did. And he's pretended to be a police officer so he could find the address. Yeah, that was hot.
Thank
He's
you.
kind of quite frantic in this bit as well. So Dean's trying to kind of make him feel better and calm him down by saying it's probably a dream. And his reasoning behind that is because it's a random person that he's dreaming about rather than before when it was his girlfriend.
But then, plot twist, turns out Sam was right, okay? There actually is a Jim Miller in Saginaw, Michigan. And he gets the street address and they go. Like, they fucking jet. And Saginaw is important because that is our Easter egg, my friends. So remember that, because a little later on in the episode, I'm going to tell you how wildly haunted and creepy Saginaw, Michigan is. And that's something to look forward to. We all need things to look forward to. So
Ooh.
I bring you spooky offerings.
So they do turn up at the house, and it was the house from the vision, or from the dream,
Hmm.
or from the nightmare, whatever. But they're a little bit too late. Like, it's everything that Sam saw in his dream has happened, but they're just there a little bit too late. And we know his powers, his premonitions now are getting stronger.
Yeah. So this scene gives me life. Actually, to be fair, not this scene exactly. This scene is pretty standard. They're talking about how it doesn't seem like he's the kind of person that this would happen to. They talk to a neighbor. They find out that he
Mhm.
attended a church really regularly, and that the name of the church is St. Augustine's. Um, and they're asking how did it happen, and the neighbor tells them that they found him in the garage, locked inside the car with the engine running. And then Sam says, "Do you know
Yeah.
about what time they found him?" And she said, "Oh, it just happened about an hour or two ago." So Sam realizes that if they'd been closer by, because they were a 2-hour drive away from the location of where this happened, if they'd been there, Sam feels like he could have stopped it. And you can tell that it's weighing on him from his expression and the conversations they're having. And Dean's trying to reassure him, telling him that they got there as fast as they could. And Sam says, "Not fast
Yeah.
enough. It doesn't make any sense, man. Why would I even have these premonitions if there wasn't a chance that I could stop them from happening?" And Dean's like, "I don't know."
Yeah. I agree with him because what is the point of having the premonitions if you can't get there in time?
So, my plot opinion is when we get to the end of the episode, we don't know it now, but when we get to the end of the episode, we realize that Sam and Max are linked, and their powers and premonitions and all their stuff is linked. So,
Mhm.
my suggestion is that Sam is picking up on this stuff because of his link to Max, not because he was destined or ordained to stop it from happening.
So they were trying, like, whatever's causing his visions was trying to get him there so he met Max.
Yeah. I think that this was all about his connection to Max over anything else. I'm not even sure that it's about, like,
Yeah.
there's this power trying to, like, let the Winchesters know so that the Winchesters can come in and save people, because honestly these people are not worth saving. Like, Max should kill them all. That's the side that I'm on. Um so my opinion is that it's the psychic link between Max and Sam, and that's what's going on.
Yeah. So they then decide that they need to try and talk to the family in the morning. And then Sam points out that they won't want to speak to them, but Dean has an idea. And this was hilarious.
So when they turn up wearing the priest uniforms, which, can I just say, there's an inordinate amount of thirst trap reels of them in this episode in the priest uniforms. And listen, I get it. I wrote down, "Hallelujah, praise the Lord."
Yeah, I get it as well, and I don't know why. Like, why is that hot?
It makes no sense. It shouldn't be hot. It should not be hot
Like,
in any way, shape, or form. And yet, for whatever reason, it's so hot.
it's weird though, because it's like anything to do with organized religion, just a massive turn off straight away for me. So why? I don't get
I
it.
don't know. I think it's the idea of forbidden fruit.
Yeah, maybe that makes sense. Did you notice Dean's duck face again? You brought up his duck face before.
I love his duck face. His duck
I feel
face
like
is
he does it.
present. Yeah.
It's when he said, so Sam says, "This has to be a whole new low for us." And just before the door is answered, and he just kind of like makes a little duck face.
Yeah, it's anytime he's like,
It's just funny.
yeah, or he's smug, he makes a duck face.
Or he's reassuring because he has the last time you
He
pointed
has the
out,
reassuring
and
duck
we have a
face.
very good there's a very good reel on our Instagram page with
Yeah.
Dean's reassuring duck face. I don't remember what episode that was though, do you?
It's Bloody Mary.
Ah, okay. So go back a few episodes on our Instagram to find that.
We
We
So
have another rock pseudonym, which
we
I love.
do. Yes. Do you want to tell the people what it is, Laura?
Yeah, so Dean introduces themselves as Father Simmons and Father Freely, which is a reference to Kiss.
It is. And I was thrilled. Like, I think that's part of what makes it so hot is because they're making rock band references while pretending to be priests. There's just it's the whole like it's so wrong, but it's so wrong and it's so right. Okay? It's so right. And I swear I have seen more thirst traps with the door opening on them as priests being like, "Hi there." And it's not even like they're not even making super wildly sexy faces in this scene. It's just
Yeah.
really hot. And I can't explain it. Like I can't explain it, but it's amazing.
Well, I think I've seen them as well, a couple of those where it's then random people, it's like different people that answer the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are funny. So they go inside, and the victim, Jim's wife, is Aunt Zelda from Sabrina. I just
She
went, Aunt
is.
Zelda.
I did the same thing. Also, can it be noted that Dean is selling this hard? And honestly, I thought he did a great job. I thought he was very believable. He says, "It's in difficult times like these when the Lord's guidance is most needed." And I was just like, this is amazing. And then Dean is really, really selling it hard. And they're having this conversation. And Ms. Miller says, "It was wonderful of you to stop by. The support of the church means so much right now." And Dean says, "Of course, after all, we are all God's children." And he says it in this tone and he makes this face like he's passing some kind of benediction. And I loved it. I thought, honestly, like he's acting like a priest. I'm down for it. Sam thought that this was a bridge too far. Sam is like shaking his head, and Dean's like, "What?" And he's like, "Just tone it down a little bit, father." And he says the father so sarcastically, and I cracked up.
Yeah, that was funny. And then the hilarity continues when Dean starts eating cocktail sausages. And Sam's getting really annoyed with him, and it's really funny.
Yeah. So the behind the scenes on the cocktail sausages is that was unscripted, but it was something that Jensen decided would work and be funny / possibly he just wanted a snack. Those sausages were supposed to really just be props. So while they were edible and he didn't die, they were not good food. And he instantly regretted this decision. And then the writers decided to fuck with him because there is nothing, if not banter, between crew and everyone on this show. So they decided that the best thing they could do is write all of these different scenes where Dean's eating. So, he's been on all these different con panels and all this stuff. And Jensen's talked about this quite a bit. And he said basically, this was like the thing that became something that he really, really wished that he'd never done on one hand, but on the other hand, kind of enjoyed because he said sometimes the food is absolutely incredible. So in the down the line, Laura, plug your ears. In the Mrs. Butters episode, he said the food was
How am I
incredible.
supposed to plug my ears?
I don't know. Tune out the words.
I do edit the podcast as well. How am I supposed to?
Metaphorically, okay?
Okay, I'm plugging my ears.
Vodka is the answer. Okay, so he talks about how he gets forced to eat the terrible food because he was really young and he didn't go to acting school, so he didn't know the thing about like you pretend to eat the food but you're not really eating the food and making it look realistic. So he was like, my dumbass was just eating the food until someone told me that I didn't have to do that. And then he said that one of his best acting skill sets became like taking a bite of the burger and then pretending to swallow it but secretly hiding it in his mouth and still being able to deliver lines. He said he got so good at pretend eating that people were almost placing bets about whether or not he was actually eating the food. And I think that just gave me life. Like, I love that. I love the banter on this show. I love the way that the cast and the crew were family in
Yeah.
that way, that they would play pranks on each other and like mess with each other like this. It's just, it's so pure. And it gives me life.
Yeah. I like that. That's a fun fact as well.
It is a fun fact.
So they're talking to Aunt Zelda, and they ask her if Jim has a history of depression. She says that they had their ups and downs, but they were happy, and she doesn't understand why he did it. And she says that Max, their son, was the one who found him, not her. So Sam goes to talk to him. Dean stays to talk to her, though, and is trying to work out if the house is haunted. Well, I assume that's what he was trying to do, because he keeps asking about any leaks or sounds at night and stuff like that. And she says that there's been nothing like that. It's been perfect.
Yeah, I thought that the way that he investigated is probably actually the most savvy that I've ever seen Dean be, because we all know that Dean is not the most subtle investigator. Usually that's Sam. I don't know why Dean has been entrusted with people, but he has. He's been entrusted with people, and but he does such a good job. Like, this is, I think, the smoothest ever. So he says, the only problem with these old houses, I bet you have all kinds of headaches. And she's like what? And he says, well, weird leaks, electrical shortages, odd settling noises at night, that kind of thing. And she says, no, nothing like that. It's been perfect. And he says, may I use your restroom? And then he goes away. Then he pulls out, I don't know what the fuck this thing is, some kind of like paranormal investigation equipment. I wrote down, yay, it's going to be EMF time. And I was expecting the EMF like Walkman or maybe the more advanced one. And I was all nostalgic about EMF with Dean because it's one of my favorite things. But no, this is some kind of Star Trek like situation. It's got fucking lasers on the front of it, pointing these weird green lasers down, I guess scanning for stuff. There's some kind of like tricorder screen situation. Like, it guys, it's wild. It's wild. And no one talks to us about what it is. No one explains. There are no lanterns to be hung here. We're just like, okay, and now they play with lasers. What?
I wrote down very sarcastically, Dean is investigating upstairs. He has a very inconspicuous device with a camera and lasers coming out of it.
Oh.
I made a note to ask you if you knew what it was, if it's like a ghost hunting thing, but I don't think so.
So I do now, because Supernatural Wiki comes through again, and they've said that it's an infrared thermal scanner.
Oh. What's one of them then?
It scans the infrareds for thermals.
Thanks, that really cleared it up.
See if the ghosts like lasers and if they're wearing warm clothes. Okay, so infrared, I think, is we're looking beyond the visible light spectrum. So I assume that's beyond visible light spectrum detection. And then thermal is obviously like heat signatures, so checking for temperature. So I assume that it's checking both temperatures and also the infrared spectrum.
Okay. I think I should just, I'm just going to point out, because people might be thinking, what the hell? We're having recording problems today, and whenever we have recording problems, we get silly. Because if we're not laughing, we're crying. Because this happened on one of the really early episodes. Do you remember that one we had to record in like 3 sessions over 3 different days?
Yeah, it got so bad that we were sharing some really personal stories that we ended up cutting out for bloopers for later, because it was so unhinged. And Laura and I were talking about it, and Laura was like, I think it's too early to tell the listeners about our hallucinations. Joy. And I was like,
too early to show our true colours.
Yeah, exactly.
Your hallucination thing is in the bloopers at the moment. Although our bloopers are so long, we might have to cut that as well.
Maybe we'll have to do it in sections.
Yeah.
Tell us where we are, Laura.
Well, this is one of those parts where they have like a scene between, like, this is what Dean's doing, this is what Sam's doing. So we just missed a tiny bit about Sam talking to Max the first time. And the first time I watched this, I didn't suspect him because he looked genuinely like upset and in shock. And Sam is being all understanding and listening to him. And I read that as a thirst trap because he does that quite a lot this episode, and I like it.
He does. Yeah, that's fair. That's valid. I validate this thirst trap. It fits into the pattern that we've seen in the investigations, like the way that the show lays this stuff out, where you have a loved one or a survivor or victim of some kind really upset and shaken, and Sam, who is the gentler of the two, the emotional stabilizing force, kind of smoothly talks it out and tries to get information, and that's what that scene felt like to me.
Yeah. Okay, so then they go to the motel, or we cut to the motel, and Dean
Mhm.
is cleaning his guns, and Sam is saying how he's been researching and there's no reason why the house should be haunted.
Yeah, I made a note because we do like to talk about our motel decor. And this one was really interesting because they have like actual birch tree trunks in here. Like it's all like Michigan hunting stuff. Um and then you have Dean cleaning guns and
Huh.
it's just like double, triply emphasizing the hunter theme. And I thought that was interesting given that they themselves are hunters and given how Dean looks
Yeah.
in the last shot of this episode, where it's like he's questioning, is his brother someone that he's going to have to hunt? Um, it was such a dark twist to the end of the
Ah.
episode, right? And I just thought that's an interesting thing that they're doing, like the juxtaposition of what's going on here. So they're having this conversation in the hotel room, and Dean's like, everything's normal. There's no cold spots. There's no scent of sulfur. There's nothing. Um, and so they're going back and forth, and they're trying to figure out what on earth is happening. And Sam says, yeah, well, maybe it has nothing to do with the house. Maybe it's just, and then he
Mhm.
starts migrating out. And I feel you, Sammy. I feel you. Because I too am currently beset with migraines. So his supernatural migraines, I was just like, you know what? Same.
You were channeling
Same.
Sam.
I was channeling Sam.
You've been channeling him this week.
I really have. We've been living the same life, you know. Supernatural occurrences, frequent migraines, falling to the floor, seeing flashing lights. Same, same.
I had a thirst trap here when Sam starts having the vision and Dean like rushes over to him to check he's okay.
Oh yeah, no, that makes sense. It's the kind and caring. It's because Dean goes, Sam, hey, Sam, talk to me. It's like the Sammy thing. I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
So I wrote down this next scene. So we see Sam's vision, and it's basically Roger is in his kitchen. He's bringing groceries home, and he sees that the window's open, and he goes over to it to investigate because it looks as though like it shouldn't open. Um it's strange. So he shuts it, and then he turns back to his
This was
unpacking,
horrible.
but yeah, this part's really creepy. The lock opens by itself and the window starts sliding open. And Roger is like, what the actual fuck is happening? So he tries to close it,
Hmm.
but he can't close it. So then he leans out to try to see what's obstructing the window. At which point I wrote down guillotine. And then that's exactly what happens. So the
Yeah,
window
so did I.
slams down. Yeah. So the window slams down and cuts his entire head off, all right? In one fell swoop. And his head lands in the flower box. And I just called it. And then I wrote down, Mary, Mary, quite contrary, how do your flowers grow? With severed heads and demon psychic treads. Pretty mates all in a row.
How
Um,
poetic.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd written down looked like a guillotine because it's shot from above, isn't it? And you see the window, and I was like, that is going to fall. He's going to have his head cut off. And then he did.
Yeah.
And I just made a note to say that I wouldn't have investigated after the second time the window opened because he locked
Yeah, you
it.
would have been the fuck
As
out
soon
of
as
there.
that opened the second time, I'd have been like, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have been gone. There would have just been like a dust cloud. She would have been out of there so fast. It would, if it was a cartoon, she would have road runnered. 100%. I just thought that it was very Adams Family. Like this was very like Wednesday Adams, kind of like levels of blood. You know when the kids do that play and they have the guillotines and stuff, and there's just
Yeah.
blood explosions everywhere. It reminded me of that, and I thought that was really entertaining.
Yeah, the blood splatter was really gruesome. Also, I don't know if we mentioned that Roger is Jim's brother, so therefore Max's uncle, just
Uncle,
in case
yeah.
anyone was wondering.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam and Dean did meet Roger at the Miller's house when they went to speak to Mr. Miss Miller and Max the first time. So Roger was there then. So Sam knows who it is in the vision because he's met him before. So he has his head cut off by the window like a guillotine, and it's really gruesome. All the blood splatter everywhere. And then we cut to Sam and Dean in the car, because they know who it is, so they are calling to get the address for Roger, and they're heading over there straight away. Because Sam's like, well, we can get there and stop this one. And Dean is still concerned about Sam, although, well, technically, he's actually concerned about his car because he doesn't want Sam to be sick in the car.
Yeah. Not on baby.
Yeah, I didn't write down the actual quote, but he's worried about being sick. And Sam says that he's scared because he's now having visions while he's awake, and they're also more intense and painful. So we get that little bit of insight. And he asks why he's connected to the Millers. And I put this as some cool foreshadowing as we find out later that Max's mum died the same way as Mary Winchester, and his powers started like Sam. So they are connected in some way.
Yeah, that's an amazing point. I didn't actually put that together. Well done.
Because he's like, why am I only seeing the members of this one family?
Yeah.
So Dean tries to explain it away and make him feel better again. And so Sam asks Dean to say that, it doesn't freak him out. He's asking if it freaks him out, and Dean says no. But I wrote he needs to tell his face that.
No, I have these lines because I thought they were so funny. Because Sam does that rant, and then he says, "Tell the truth. You can't tell me this doesn't freak you out." And Dean goes, he does like 1,000-yard stare, and then he goes, "This doesn't freak me out." And then Sam's looking at him like, "This is absolute this is a bald-faced lie, sir." And you just like, it's so funny because it's so obviously not true. I love it. It's great.
Yeah. So they get there in time. Roger's not dead yet. He's going into his apartment building, but he isn't having any of it. He doesn't want them. He doesn't want the help, does he? Because he thinks they're
No.
priests.
He does think they're priests. I feel like this is his own guilty conscience because they're a Catholic family. And he has to know that beating up a small child and also his nephew in later days is wrong. And he's going to go to hell and burn forever, as he should, honestly. So I think that's why he's trying to avoid them when they're priests. That's my honest opinion. I think he's guilty and he knows it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So my next bit is, when they're running up the stairs. So I have it's very like pulp noir. The lighting's all like chiaroscuro, and it's really, really cool. And then I wrote down the endless fire escape reminds me of MC Escher artwork. It's just like it's too much. It's like an impossible amount of fire escape. And then later on, Dean goes, "We've got to wipe down our fingerprints." Well, it's not really later on. It's like 5 seconds later. We've got to wipe down all our fingerprints. And then I'm like, how are you going to wipe down the 5 miles of fire escape railing that you just, like, just physically how?
5 miles. I had, before they jump onto the fire escape, Dean kicks the gate open, which was hot, but also then Sam rushes past him really, really quickly and just jumps on the ladder, and that bit was also hot.
Yeah, that was pretty damn cool, actually. That was very, very cool.
So they're going up, as Joy says, up the millions and millions of steps up the fire escape, and they get to Roger's apartment, but it's a little bit too late, and we hear the sound of the window falling, that guillotine sound, and it did actually sound like a guillotine this time, and that was really creepy.
Yeah, it was extra, extra creepy.
So Dean says he's going inside, and then as they're walking away, he says he didn't find anything, just like in the Miller's house, so it's not haunted. And they discuss the possibility of Jim and Roger maybe being into something that may have gotten them cursed. And then they also wonder if Max is then in danger because of that.
Which actually, sorry, I just thought of something because when you said that, that clicked for me. When they say that they're involved in something heavy and curse-worthy, they actually were, because they were abusing Max, and that's why they die.
Yeah. Okay, so there were some funny quotes here. So we had, so Sam says, "Well, I know one thing I have in common with these people." And Dean says, "What's that?" And Sam says, "Both our families are cursed." Dean, "Our family's not cursed. We just had our dark spots." And Sam says, "Our dark spots are pretty dark." And Dean says, "You're dark," which I thought was really funny because I don't know about you, but I always used to say, your whatever whenever me and my friends used to have silly arguments when we were little. I don't know if that's just like a millennial thing.
Yeah, we all did it. We all did it. That exchange is hilarious. It's one of my favorite ones. Like, I think those are some of my favorite lines from the whole episode.
Yeah. You're dark.
So then they return to the investigation, don't they? They go back to the Miller house. And we see Max talking to Sam
Just
and
as priests
Dean.
again.
They're dressed as priests again. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. And Max says, my mom's resting. She's pretty wrecked. And Dean says, of course. And then Max kind of has an exchange with them and they kind of bond because they've all been through dark stuff. So Max is making like dark humor jokes about being kind of tired of all the casseroles and all the rest of it. And then Sam starts asking Max questions. Your dad and your uncle were close. And Max goes, yeah, I guess. I mean, they were brothers. They used to hang out all the time when I was little. And then they just kind of carry on. And through this, Max is a little bit odd. Like there's something a little bit off. And I just wrote down clearly lying and I underlined it for this whole thing. And Dean's asking, is it all good memories? Do you remember anything unusual? Something involving your father or your uncle, maybe? And Max is like, why do you ask? And Dean's like, it's just a question. And then Max says, no, there was nothing. We were totally normal and happy. And they leave. But Dean says no one's family is totally normal and happy. See, when he was talking about his old house, and Sam says he sounded scared. And Dean says, yeah, Max isn't telling us everything. I say we go find the old neighborhood, find out what life was really like for the Millers. And it just kind of leads us into the next part of the story with some really decent foreshadowing, because that part is kind of spooky. And that's the first time that we start to suspect that Max has something going on under the surface, that there's something hidden from us that we don't know about yet.
Yeah.
Okay. So Sam and Dean go to Max's old neighborhood and they interview a neighbor of his. And this is when they get the tea. And this is when we start to understand the darkness that's underlying the story and what Max has actually been through. So Dean says, yeah, the Millers, they had a little boy called Max. And Sam says, right. And the man says, yeah, I remember the brother had a place next door. So what's this about? Is that poor kid okay? And Sam says, what do you mean? And the man says, well, in my life, I've never seen a child treated like that. I mean, I'd hear Mr. Miller yelling and throwing things clear across the street. He was a mean drunk. He used to beat the tar out of Max. Bruises, broke his arm 2 times that I know of. And Sam says this was going on regularly. And the man says, practically every day. In fact, that thug brother of his was just as likely to take a swing at the boy. But the worst part was the stepmother. She'd just stand there, checked out, not lifting a finger to protect him. I must have called the police 7 or 8 times, never did any good. And Dean says, now you said stepmother. And he says, I think his real mom died, some sort of accident. Foreshadowing, okay, guys? Very important foreshadowing. So Laura and I had a conversation because we both had really interesting realizations based on our lived experiences. And I actually had a really different experience watching this episode this time around. And Laura and I had ended up having a really interesting conversation about this off the podcast. But we wanted to continue it on for you guys and involve you in it because Laura pointed out that it could be really valuable, and I agree with her. So the first time that I watched this episode, I assumed that Max's stepmother was coerced, that she was controlled, that she was abused as well. And I had always viewed this episode really differently. And Laura had the same thought process initially, right?
Yeah.
So I've watched this episode maybe 4 times. And this is probably my 3rd or 4th time watching it. And this is the first time that I picked up on all these other clues and differences in the performance that actually have made me think about it totally differently. But initially, we both had the same opinion. And Laura was looking at it through her experience and really sympathizing with the stepmom, which I fully understand because I did the same thing. Do you want to say anything about that in particular, Laura?
Well, it was just that, so the bit where the neighbour is saying that the worst part was the stepmother. She would just stand there, checked out, never lifted a finger to protect him. And originally I was like, is that the worst part, or is the actual um, physical violence the worst part?
Yeah,
And
is breaking his arm multiple times not worse
yeah,
than that. Yeah.
but yeah, I realised that I was looking at it from my own experience rather than like actually understanding what was going on. So I had thought that maybe because when there's domestic violence in a household, sometimes that it's, the child is being assaulted, then also the wife might be as well, and then isn't in a position to kind of do anything, or is too scared to do anything or something like that. But Joy brought up the fact that she has like crocodile tears at the end,
Mhm.
and she also just blames Max. She doesn't bring up any of the domestic violence, and there isn't really any evidence that she did experience that, because like it's not talked about at all in the episode, is it?
Yeah,
And I
she
think
doesn't
in
even
my
say it herself. Sorry, I didn't
no,
mean to talk over you.
that's okay. No, I think in my head I was just kind of painting a little picture of what could have. I was basically making up fiction, um, and I wasn't really looking at the episode properly, which is interesting because you said that you had done that before in the past, and I just
Yeah.
thought it would be good to have this in the episode because our listeners might have also seen it from that point of view the first time as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, as we were discussing, I said that art is subjective for the reason that when we're looking at art, we will project our own experiences onto what we're seeing. And sometimes that means that we see something different, or that we might miss details, or we might even glean details that somebody else didn't. So, what Laura experiences when she watches this episode and what I experience are two different things, because I'm going to identify with Max because obviously, as we've discussed before, I come from this sort of background, and she's going to identify with the stepmom until we know what we now know about her. Because, again, so many times I watched this episode and I missed all these clues about her.
Hmm.
But yeah, the thing that changed my opinion about her is that she, at the end, it's her expression. So Laura mentioned it a little bit. Basically, what happens is when the police come to interview her about the incident that happens and how Max got shot and um, the other things that go down in the house, she never says, "My husband was abusing him. His uncle was abusing him." She never says, "I was an abused spouse and I wasn't able to protect him and think horrible things had happened for years." She doesn't say anything. She doesn't defend him. She doesn't tell the truth in any way, shape, or form. She actually lies and says that Max just lost his mind and came there to kill them.
Hmm.
And she could have done him the honor of saying, actually, he was terribly abused for years and years and years, well into his adulthood. He was still being abused quite recently, and so was I. And he came here to do something. He had been overwhelmed by what happened, and he snapped. And this is what happened here. And that still would have covered Sam and Dean, and it still would have
Yeah.
covered her, and she still would have been safe. But that's not what she did at all. She painted Max to be the monster. She didn't tell anybody else's side of the story. She just said Max is a monster. And she's crying while the police are talking to her, and she's saying, "Oh, my whole family is dead." And then the
Hmm.
second that he turns away from her, we see the camera close up on her, and her tears immediately stop.
Yeah.
Her face is no longer sad. She just looks like she looks fine. And I had missed that in every other viewing of this episode. And I went, oh my days, this woman is the worst.
Hmm.
She really did. It goes beyond, I think, doing nothing and into complicity. Because I had also assumed that she was probably also a victim. But then when I'm watching it again, I think she was a collaborator and not a victim. And it makes this episode have a really different impact.
Yeah, because she doesn't actually. Now I'm thinking about it. Like she doesn't even have any compassion for Max, and like everyone is dead now. Like her husband is dead.
Yeah.
So if she had felt bad about that at all, she could have explained it all then, because no one's gonna. Her husband's not gonna say anything about it because he's dead. Max
Yeah.
isn't gonna say anything the opposite because he died as well.
Yeah, this is
So
my point.
she could just make her say the truth. Yeah.
There's no power hanging over her head anymore. There's no threat to her anymore at all.
Yeah.
She could have been like, "Oh, he was terrible to my husband, and I couldn't do anything. I didn't have the power to do anything because he was also oppressing me, and there was nothing I could do. We would have both been killed."
Yeah.
And we would have all sympathized with her, and we would have all believed her. And she could
Yeah.
have really easily, even if that wasn't the truth, she could have gotten away with that being the truth. Just saying.
Hmm.
Like, um, but she didn't even choose that. She just said, "Max is horrible. He's crazy. He just came in and killed my whole family." Because I don't
Yeah.
believe in any way that she views Max as her family.
No.
So then basically we've uncovered the meat and bones of the story is what's happened. And that is that Max was abused since he was a kid. So um he's grown up in this terrible situation where there's all this domestic violence happening, and the only person who's really helping him is his neighbor. And this guy's doing everything that he can from his point of view, like he's phoned the police on multiple occasions. um and it just feels like he's, from his point of view, he thinks he's done everything legally. He has done everything that he can do if he's phoned the police so many different times trying to save this poor kid.
Yeah.
Um, and I actually have a little piece of hope for you guys because, as we know, Kripke likes to make social statements. This is my opinion. This is my conspiracy theory. Just based on everything that we've seen and everything that we found in so many Easter eggs, I really believe that Kripke is trying to make the world a better place through his writing. Um, and so when I was researching Saginaw County, I actually found out that they had something like 2 times the rate of domestic violence compared to like the full rest of the country. So the fact that this episode is set in Saginaw feels really purposeful to me. And actually what's really cool though, what's really hopeful and nice is that Saginaw County has actually formed a specialized domestic violence court. So this happened in 2022, not very long ago. Um, so they're now starting a new specialized court, one that specifically focuses on domestic violence cases. District Judge A.T. Frank announced the new court's formation on Monday, and the court's focus is on helping victims and holding their abusers accountable. He said domestic violence is a public health crisis in our community. Recent statistics show women in Saginaw County experience intimate partner abuse nearly at twice the state average.
That's a
So
lot.
they are very serious about educating the community and setting up a separate court. Frank said that the cycle of abuse will continue from one generation to the next unless we act anew to protect women and children from their abusers. And I really wish that other states and counties would follow suit because this is such a key and important action to take. Very
Yeah.
often, when women and children are forced to go to court to prosecute people, the burden of proof is put on them, the victims, and they are cross examined incredibly mercilessly. There are unrealistic standards that are set, and very often, women who have defended themselves in a completely justifiable way, even in stand your ground states, will be really unfairly prosecuted. There are so many studies that show this. The Michigan Clemency Program has shown this several times. I can put a link in my show notes to all of this data, as well as this new domestic violence court. But I thought that this was evidence that Kripke is trying to make the world a better place through art. And I really applaud that because I think that's the point of art. So I think that that's such a lovely tie-in and such a hopeful note because I'm just aware that this episode has a pretty tragic storyline. And I thought that we
Yeah.
needed this. I thought we needed this little ray of sunshine, a little ray of progress.
So as far as plot goes, this conversation with the neighbour, this is where we find out that she is actually his stepmom rather than his mum, because up until this
Yeah.
point she's just been calling him her son and he's been calling her his mum.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, it's his stepmom. And yeah, we find out his biological mum died. And I thought the neighbor had said that it was a car accident or something, but he wasn't sure.
Yeah, that is what he says. He says that it
Yeah.
was something like a car accident.
Yeah. But it wasn't a car accident.
It was not a car
Um,
accident.
it was very
It
far
was
from
a
a car
demon.
accident. So at the end of the conversation with the neighbor, Sam then starts having another vision, and you can tell because he's in pain. Um, and the camera work as well makes it look like it's from his point of view, and it goes all blurry
Yeah.
because he's
Yeah,
getting
it's
blurred vision.
really cool and really interesting the way that they shift perspectives. And then
Yeah,
we are just in the vision, like the vision is real and actually happening. I thought that was pretty cool too.
yeah. And so the vision is of Max confronting his stepmom about the past and her not doing anything to protect him, and a knife starts moving and shaking on the counter, and then it lifts up and points at her head, and then this is where we realise that it's Max, and he's moving the knife with telekinesis.
Hmm.
Um, and this shot was really cool. So the camera moves around, and we see that the knife is pointed right at her eye. And you know how I feel about eyes.
I do know
This
how you
knife,
feel about eyes. I bet you were not okay during this scene, were
I
you?
wasn't. I think I was actually like shouting at the television.
Oh
I
no.
was like, "Not in the eye!" It was a cool shot though, but I didn't like how close to her eye the knife actually was. It gets so close that her like eye starts to water.
Yeah, it
It
does.
was horrible.
Yeah, it is. It's really terrifying. And we're not talking like a random knife, you guys. We're talking like a fucking meat cleaver type situation. Like
Yeah,
it's
like a
like the
massive chef's knife.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Very large, very pointy chef's knife. It's true horror and it is scary as fuck.
And it's like, because it's moving on its own, because he's obviously moving it with his mind. And then the knife pulls back and then it slams forward and goes right through her eye and through her head into the wall. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we don't actually see it go through her eye. It kind of,
That would have been too much for you, huh?
yeah, it would have.
I was just gonna say another clue to what's going on is Max says, for every time you stood there and watched pretending it wasn't happening, and she says, I'm sorry, and he says, no, you're not. You just don't want to die.
Ah, yeah,
And we know that's
yeah.
true from the ending
That was a
scene.
good
He's
line.
right.
She's only apologizing to stop him.
Yeah. And then she looks really surprised. And I think this is the first time anyone has called her on her bullshit. And then the knife,
Yeah.
like we said, slices directly through her eyeball and through the back of her head. Can I just
Ugh.
say? Because I don't want you guys to miss out on this gore. And there's blood. Like it is gorific.
No, don't like it.
No. And then the next scene, we're in the Impala, aren't we?
Yeah, so Sam and Dean in the car, they're talking about Max and how he must have telekinesis. And Sam is drawing parallels between Max and himself.
Mm-hmm.
And Dean is saying that they're nothing alike. But this is also foreshadowing.
It
Um,
really is.
just a little bit. This bit was funny actually because Dean says that Max is a monster who wants to kill people, but Sam says he understands why he's doing it, and then Dean says they have to end him. And I wrote in my notes, Dean is up for killing a person again. He did this in Faith too, um, because he's just like, yeah, he's just up for killing people now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if we tested Dean, he would score pretty high on the psychopath test. Like, he's a beautiful, beautiful boy, but he is very into just slaying anybody that he views as a monster. And
Yeah,
and Sam's always like, but people. And Dean's
they
like,
are
I see
humans.
no problem here. I have no questions. There are no issues. Okay. No issues. And this whole conversation for me, I was like, hashtag Team Sam. I wrote in
Yeah.
really big, bold letters because honestly, like Dean completely dehumanizes Max. He has no sympathy for anything that's happening. He doesn't care about his experience at all.
Yeah.
Dean is a really black and white thinker, and to him, his job is to kill monsters and save normal people. And he doesn't view
Yeah.
Max as normal people because Max has powers. So as soon as Max has powers,
Yeah.
to Dean, he's no longer human. He's tainted, and Dean has no interest in protecting him. I can guarantee you, because of like what we saw in Wendigo, if Max was what Dean saw as a human being, he would be the first one to be on Max's side. Because as we've pointed out, Dean doesn't really mind killing people. He's being very hypocritical. He's like, Max can't kill these people who are monsters, but I can kill anybody that I think is a monster.
Yeah.
Like, full hypocrisy. Full hypocrisy here. And I thought that that was something interesting to point out. But yeah, again, to the Sam girls, I give you guys the points for this one. Like, I'm on your side. I am hashtag Team Sam.
So yeah, so it sounds basically like, no, Dean, you can't kill people. And he asks him to follow his lead, and Dean says he will, but he does take a gun with him just in case. And this will turn out to be a very bad idea, Dean.
Dean, you are the problem. Okay? Hi, it's you. You're the problem, it's you.
Yeah, because if he didn't have the gun with him, it wouldn't have triggered Max into the rage and the hostage situation.
Exactly.
So they arrive at the house just before Max starts to move the knife. So we're back to like where the vision started, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And they just bust right in, and she's like, "Oh, hi."
She says,
And
fathers?
And I would have been like, "What the hell are you doing? You just barged right into my house. You broke in, essentially."
Yeah.
So they try to get Max to go outside and talk to them, and I think it's Sam mainly, isn't it? He's managed to kind of get him to agree to that. But then he sees Dean's gun in the waistband of his jeans, and then all the doors and all the window shutters all start slamming. That bit was really scary.
It was really scary.
And Dean pulls the gun out, and then Max moves it out of his hands because he's got telekinesis, so he moves the gun out of Dean's hands. And I just wrote, "Well done, Dean," in my notes.
Yeah, thanks a lot for absolutely nothing. Thank you for making this situation 50 times worse. Like, why did Sam save your life? Okay, you've just been brought back from the actual dead because you were an idiot and you electrocuted yourself. All right? And this is how you repay us? This? Really? Rude.
So Max uses his mind. He makes his stepmom go flying across the kitchen, and she smashes her head on the kitchen island, and she's knocked out. He's very distressed, and he's shouting this whole time. Sam is trying to de-escalate the situation, and Dean is not helping again here. So
Dean is just the worst, honestly. In this episode, Dean is the worst.
Yeah, Sam's trying to say that they can talk alone, and Dean's like, "There's no way I'm leaving you and him alone." But they do end up coming to an arrangement, and Dean ends up taking Miss Miller, I've forgotten her name, Alice, upstairs.
Yeah.
So then Sam and Max are having a bit of a heart-to-heart. Max says his dad was still hurting him even now. I think does he show him his bruises at that point?
Yeah.
Is that when it was?
Yeah.
Max says his dad blamed him for his mother's death because he was a baby and she died in his nursery while he was in his crib. And you can tell Sam, the cogs are whirring. Sam's like, "What?" So Max carries on explaining about his mum's death, and he says she was burned up, pinned to the ceiling. And then there's a zoom in on Sam as he realizes what this means.
Sam's face is literally, oh shit, son. Oh, fuck.
And so we realize that Max's mum has died in exactly the same way as Mary. And before we thought it was just, it's just her and it's to do with the Winchesters. Well, I did anyway. And Max says he doesn't believe the story of his mum's death because his dad was a drunk, and so he doesn't believe what he said. But Sam then explains to him that it is true and that it happened to his mum too. He explains everything is the same, and this must be why he's having more intense visions. Sam thinks that him and Max must be connected. And I've written down a quote, so he says that they are chosen, is the words he used, that they're chosen.
Yeah. Which, again, is a nice little piece of foreshadowing, in my opinion.
Sam says that Max needs to let them go so that they can track down their mum's killer. But Max says no and then shuts Sam in the cupboard. So he kind of uses his powers again to shut Sam in a cupboard, and he blocks the door with some sort of dresser. And then he goes upstairs and we see another scene play out, which ends up being another vision. But it's he goes upstairs and attacks Dean. He also then tries to shoot his stepmom, but Dean gets in the way and gets shot instead. So Dean says, "If you want to kill her, you've got to go through me first." And Max is like, "Okay," and pulls the trigger and shoots Dean in the head. And this bit was horrible because there's blood splatter everywhere. There's a gunshot in Dean, literally in Dean's head. It's quite graphic.
It is really graphic. It's a really, really graphic death scene. Yeah.
Yeah. and cold because he's just like, okay, bang.
Yeah. I was
Um,
once again hashtag Team Max because Dean is being an asshole this entire time. I saw Dean die and I was like, well, you were in the way. Like, you were protecting the monster from the hero. Therefore, you did this to yourself. And could you stop dying in stupid ways, please, Dean, as a personal favor to me?
I've got some notes here from my very first watch through because what I do is I will make just observation kind of notes when I watch it the first time, but I'm just watching it to watch it, and then I make proper notes the second time. And I've written down what just happened. This must be a vision, right? Right?
You're panicking, going, oh my God, is Dean dead again? Not yet. He dies a lot in the series, okay, but not yet. All right. In
And that was
Supernatural, everybody dies.
uh, so then this is when we realise that it's Sam's vision and that there is still time for Dean to be saved.
So inside, downstairs in the closet, Sam comes to and he's gasping and he's holding his head. And we're like, oh,
Mhm.
thank God, this was just a vision. This is about to happen,
Yeah.
but it hasn't happened yet. And Sam clearly has the same thing. And he is full on panicked. He's screaming, no, no, like he is flipping the fuck out. Okay. And at this point, he goes kind of Carrie, but slightly different because
Uh-huh.
the bookcase that is jamming the closet gets thrown away and Sam freezes because he's clocking what we're clocking, which is Sam has telekinetic powers too, which we're all
Yeah.
like, fuck. Wow. Okay. So not only is it that Sam has powers and Max has powers, but Sam's powers are obviously growing and
Mhm.
responding to when he's stressed or when stuff is going down. So he runs to go upstairs to go save Dean.
Yeah. That was a thirst trap, by the way, the whole thing where he shouts no and moves the dresser.
Hashtag Team Sam. This whole episode, Dean can fuck off. Hashtag Team Sam.
Also, I just remembered something that I was going to say earlier. You know the bit where oh shit, it might have gone again.
You need
Oh,
notes.
you said something about Dean dehumanizing people who have powers, and I was like, but
Yeah.
Sam has powers.
Oh, but right at the end of the episode, though, yeah, he
So
acts like his brother isn't really the connection's like shaky. We're really
poor Sam.
concerned. And I think that this is part of the horror because we've gone from the brothers are everything to each other and they're amazing and we love them so much to being really concerned about Dean and his opinion of people with powers because now Sam has powers. And does that
Yeah.
mean that Sam isn't human to Dean anymore? And you could definitely see that Dean's trust and his brother is starting to wane, like suspicion's
Yeah.
starting to take hold. So we're back where Sam runs upstairs and
Mm.
Max is saying, stay back, it's not about you. And Dean's saying, you're going to kill her, you got to go through me first. And Max says, okay. But then the door bursts open and Sam comes in.
Yeah. And he's trying to talk him down, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he kind of is because he's been very compassionate towards Max this whole time, Sam has.
Yeah.
He's been
Because
really
Sam
understanding
is
and
a human
listening to him.
being. Sam's like, oh my God, these people are monsters. I completely understand why you want to do what you want to do. But please, let's end it here. Let's
Yeah.
find a different way to make you feel safe. So Sam
Yeah.
says, no, don't, please, please, Max, we can help you, all right. But this, what you're doing, it's not the solution. It's not going to fix anything. And Max is crying, he's shaking, he's sweaty, like PTSD on 100. And he's looking at Sam and he just kind of goes a little bit almost blank, but as if he's just had an epiphany of some kind. And he
Yeah.
looks and he says, you're right. And Sam's smiling at him, and we're thinking, oh my God, everything's going to be okay. Thank God.
No, I
Because this,
wasn't.
I was like, this poor guy. The first few times. And I was hopeful this time around because maybe I was in a little bit of denial. I know what kind of show this is, but I was just like, Max could be okay.
Yeah.
And then
I hoped he
so
would be, but I was sitting there going, he's gonna I could sense what was coming, which was
yeah,
horrible.
it was awful. The horror is on a 10 out of 10 in this episode the whole way through, honestly. So Sam's smiling at Max, but Max turns away from him and the gun swings in midair to point at him and goes off and it's a headshot. and Max is
Yeah.
down. And Sam screaming, no, and he's obviously so heartbroken, and you're just right there with him.
Mm. Yeah, because Sam's had compassion this whole time, and he thought he was going to be able to stop one of the deaths in this episode from his visions.
Yeah, he was really sure that he was gonna save Max, I think. Obviously, he
Yeah,
knew that he was gonna save Dean. Like, I think that's non-negotiable in his mind.
yeah,
But he thought he could maybe save Alice, fuck her forever, and save Max. And then that scene's just so brutal. And then in the next scene, they're downstairs and the police are there.
yeah. So it's like the aftermath bit. My notes I'd written, Aunt Zelda is telling the police the story that they've obviously all decided upon. But see, that's it. That's how I saw it the first time. So I've obviously only watched it this first time, and I thought, oh, maybe they've all come up with what they're going to say to the police. But now that you've explained it, I think she's just said that, hasn't she? And the other two haven't had anything to do with it.
Yeah, because literally her line is, Max attacked me, he threatened me with a gun.
And that they came in to kind of save
Yeah.
her.
So the cop says, and these two, meaning Sam and Dean, and she says they're family friends. I called them as soon as Max arrived. I was scared. She's like, I was
Yeah.
terrified of Max. She's setting the scene for Max to be the villain from the beginning. They tried to stop him and they fought him for the gun. And then the cop says, where did Max get the gun? Thanks a lot, Dean. Okay? Thanks a lot. And Sam and Dean
Yeah,
exchange
Dean.
looks, and then Miss Miller is crying. Like, Alice starts just white woman tearing everywhere. Okay? She says, I don't know, he showed up with it, and then she breaks down like she can't possibly speak anymore because she's so emotionally distraught. And the cop says, it's all right, Miss Miller. And then she's crying. She says, I've lost everyone. And then the cop is talking to Sam and Dean and says, we'll give you a call if we have any further questions. And Dean says, thanks, officer. And then the plot fucking thickens, you guys. And this was the turning point for me, because you see the police officer's coverage and then it goes back to Alice's coverage and the tears stop and the face totally changes. And you're like, bitch, you just told all these lies. You just threw this child under the bus. And now he's going to go down as just some kind of violent killer with no motive, and that's what's going to happen to him. He's going to be buried probably in some fucking unmarked grave in some Potter's Field type situation, and the newspapers are all going to run the story that Max was a violent killer who just, or a serial killer even, who tried to kill his whole family.
Yeah.
Rage. So then we switch cameras and we're on the outside of the house, and Sam and Dean are walking down to the car and they're having a conversation.
So yeah, they're walking towards the car. Sam's blaming himself, and Dean's telling him not to torture himself because Max was too far gone. And I was like, that wasn't very compassionate of Dean.
Yeah, fuck you, Dean.
And then they have a then they have a whole bit about their dad. They talk about their dad because Sam says we're lucky we had dad, and Dean's like, I never thought I'd hear you say that. And Sam says, well, it could have gone a whole nother way after Mum. So he's like, this could have been our life rather than the one we had. He said a little more tequila, a little less demon hunting, and then we would have had Max's childhood. All things considered, we turned out okay thanks to him. And then, so this part is kind of a serious bit, and then we have another funny bit when they're packing up at the motel.
So when they go back to the motel, they're having a conversation, and Sam says, Dean, I've been thinking. And Dean says, well, that's never a good thing.
Yeah, that was the funny bit.
Yeah. And Sam says, I'm serious. I've been thinking, this demon, whatever it is, why would it kill Mom and Jessica and Max's mother? What does it want? And Dean says, I have no idea. And Sam says, well, you think maybe it was after us, after Max and me? And Dean says, why would you think that? And Sam says, I mean, either telekinesis or premonitions. We both had abilities, Maybe he was after us for some reason. And so Dean's reassuring him, but I have an Easter egg, a spooky, scary Easter egg for you guys that takes place exactly in Saginaw, where this episode is set. And I'm going to read it to you right now before we get to the end of the episode, because we're talking about the death of Mary and the death of the moms and how that there's all these creepy similarities. There's telekinesis, there's spontaneous fire. Okay. So remember that as I read you this story. So this article is called The Haunted House on Dice Road, and it was written by John Robinson. And it goes, there's a particular house on Dice Road approximately 4.5 miles north of Merrill, smack dab in the center of Michigan's Mitten. This home is said to be haunted. There was even a documentary made on this place as well. In 1974, strange events begin happening. The family who lived there experienced loud pounding from within and without the walls, fires that started themselves, including a roll of toilet paper that apparently caught fire by itself, and also disembodied voices. The family made numerous reports to the police department, so many that not only did the Saginaw County Sheriff Department investigate, so did the Michigan State Police, priests, remember they dressed up as priests for this episode, university representatives, and others. Nobody could figure out what was causing any of these weird occurrences. Authorities put the house under surveillance and even had officers spend a few nights inside. Officers on the inside reported that they had heard loud thuds, a voice from nowhere that whispered the homeowner's name, and 13 loud blasts that were never figured out. However, officers observing from the outside saw nothing or anybody suspicious or out of the ordinary. The family moved out after one of the fires was too much for them to handle. A new owner moved in and only claims to have had one experience, wherein her antique radio began spouting static out of the speakers. So remember the dad's radio at the beginning, where the radio starts shifting channels and it's really freaky? Mm-hmm. But it wasn't even plugged in. Sounds like a poltergeist really haunting. Yeah.
That's horrible.
So it's in the same setting, and all of the features of the haunting are all of the features of what happened in this episode. So that is your John Winchester road trip spooky Easter egg.
Oh, the spontaneous fires as well is scary.
It's all the things. It's things moving on their own. It's the spontaneous fires. It's the fact that the radio starts talking and switching channels by itself, which is exactly what happened during the dad's death scene. It's the fact that Sam and Dean turn up dressed as priests, and priests were actually called to investigate, that the police were called to investigate in this instance, and they sent out not one, but 2 branches of police officers to investigate this house. The guys on the outside are like, everything seems normal to us. The people on the inside are like, we can't explain this at all. And this is wild. So you have 2 separate police branches, all right? And priests and experts from universities, and no one can explain it.
That's creepy. And like for the radio to turn on and it's not even plugged in, no, I don't like that.
Yep. Okay. So that is this show's Easter egg. I am particularly proud of this one. I think this is the best one that I found yet. I salute you, Eric Kripke, because that is creepy. That's amazing. Thank you for your service, Eric Kripke, and showing us around America and revealing how actually terrifying it all is. Because my home country turns out wildly haunted.
I still really want to do a road trip where we go to all these places, though.
No, we absolutely are. I'm going to take all of my spooky Easter eggs. I'm going to compile them into a road trip book. I'm going to make it look like John Winchester's notebook. We're going to have Kripke's playlist, because he's made a supernatural playlist. We're going to write down Dean's snacks, and we're going to have the full incredible experience.
Cool. We should definitely do that.
Oh, 100%. It's happening.
So where we were talking about
so Dean's telling Sam that it's not his fault.
Yeah, but then Sam tells him about what happened in the closet.
Yes.
That he was able to move the dresser with his mind. And he says he can't control it just happened. And then my favourite quote I just want to mention. And he says, I saw you die and it just came out of me like a punch, like a freak adrenaline thing. And I thought that was a really powerful quote.
It is. That's pretty cool. That's brotherly love in a nutshell, isn't it? I love that.
Yeah.
So what hit me is actually the next couple of lines. So Dean says, yeah, well, I'm sure it won't happen again. And Sam says, yeah, maybe. Aren't you worried, man? Aren't you worried I could turn into Max or something? And Dean says, nope, no way. You know why? And Sam says, no, why? And Dean says, because you got one advantage that Max didn't have. And Sam's like, Dad? Because Dad's not here, Dean. And Dean says, no, me. And he kind of smirks at him. And he says, as long as I'm around, nothing bad's ever going to happen to you. And Sam smiles, but he still looks slightly unconvinced. And then Dean throws his bag over his shoulder and says, now then, I know what we need to do about your premonitions. I know where we have to go. And Sam says, where? Dean goes, Vegas. And smiles at Sam. And Sam tilts his head, looks away, looks back. And I'm going to quote Supernatural Wiki says, does bitch face. And walks out the door to the car.
Dean's smile there was a goofy smile, which I wrote down as being hot.
It was hot.
Because I like it when he's goofy.
It was hot. Like, I don't give it to him because he annoys me this entire episode. But yeah. So Dean says, what? Come on, man. Craps tables. We'll clean up. And then he follows him out the door. But then, bitches.
Yeah.
Plot twist. Because he turns around and looks, and we get this close-up of Dean's face. And he looks like he does not mean everything he just said. Like, the jokes were to make Sam feel better. But Dean does not feel copacetic with the situation at all. No. And that's so scary. And then it just, boom, end.
Yeah.
So Dean's expression tells us that he isn't 100%. And when the stuff that he's saying to Sam about Sam being fine, and Dean doesn't see him as any different. But we know that Dean has, like, switched. Like, when he sees somebody with powers, it dehumanizes those people to him. And we're obviously, as an audience, we're caring about Sam. We're worried for Sam at this point because Dean was so trigger happy about Max in that situation. And Max is such a sympathetic character with such a sympathetic story. And Dean was just like, kill them all. Kill them dead. Don't care. Kill the people.
Yeah, and it does make you think, is he going to think that about Sam at some point? Because his powers are clearly getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah, and it's the way Dean's like, it won't happen again.
Yeah.
And the way that he says it.
Yeah, as if like he hopes it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, or like he's ordering Sam, it won't happen again.
Yeah. But he can't help it. He can't control it.
No, I know. And this is really building this sense of tension between the idea of monsters in the show and the dynamic between the brothers, because we're being asked, I think, to question, what is the definition of a monster? Because we've had Missouri who has powers, but Missouri's a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been shown at least one example of somebody with powers who's not a monster and who is a good guy. And Dean seems to have accepted that, but I assume that's because John okayed her, right? John has mentioned her in the journal. I went to Missouri and I learned the truth.
Yeah.
So I think that puts her in a different category. And I think that Dean is looking at the way that his dad isn't coming near him and his brother. And I think he's starting to wonder if it's Sam's fault in some way, shape, or form. Like, I think there's a subconscious part of him that's starting to question, it's the reason why their dad is avoiding them. And there's all these demons going on. And if Sam and Max are interconnected and he's getting all these powers and all this other stuff, like, I think Dean's starting to question, is his brother turning into a monster from his point of view?
But he knows that Sam's a good person. So surely if he would be more like Missouri. But it does make sense about why he might think, why is the dad not coming? But it's not, even if they think it's Sam's fault, that's stupid because he was a baby. And I suppose that kind of mirrors Max as well. Because his dad
once again,
him.
I'm hashtag Team Sam.
Yeah.
You know, normally.
I definitely am in this bit too.
Normally I love Dean. Normally I'm a Dean girl through and through. And he can do no wrong. And I try to defend him even when he shoots Ghost for no reason. Okay. She's extremely dead already. She's not there. Yeah, no, I can't. He is not the good guy in this episode in any way, shape, or form. And Sam is definitely the hero in this episode. And it's a really interesting switch in dynamic because initially Sam came off as kind of selfish. And he wasn't really the hero. He was more like an anti-hero, but Dean was the hero. And now they've swapped places where Sam is the hero and Dean's like the anti-hero, where we really see him as morally gray and start questioning what he's thinking.
Yeah. So, villain, hot or not, Joy?
Not hot. Not hot. Do I find Alice, as in like the Aunt Zelda, the actress who plays Alice, is she an extremely attractive woman? Yes, she is. However, is Alice hot to me? No, because she's a monster.
No, I wrote not, and I wrote, are any of them ever going to be?
I mean, there have been, and there will be more in the future.
You've had some hot. Mine have all been nots.
Yeah. I think there will be, there definitely are more sexy villains in the future. We're just having a dry spell right now. which is unfortunate. It's unfortunate
Okay.
for our thirst traps.
I'll look forward to some hot villains in the future.
Yeah.
What was your episode scare rating?
I give it probably like an 8.5, maybe a 9, I think, just because the gore was very, very well done.
Yeah, I gave it a 9 for the gore, but also because Max's powers are really strong, because like he can throw a whole man across a room just from his mind.
Yeah.
And that was scary. And like when he was slamming all the windows and all the doors and everything, that was scary.
He's so powerful. Yeah. I agree 100%.
Favorite quote?
You know what we gotta do? Go to Vegas.
I had that as my second one because I thought you were going to choose that one. So I'd written down my one I had from before where I said, where Sam says, "I saw you die and it just came out of me like a punch."
Yeah.
But I also wrote down, or Vegas.
Yeah. If I was going to have another option, it would have been the lines where he's like, "I think our family might be cursed." And he's like, "No, it's just kind of dark in places." And then he goes, "It's really fucking dark, dude." And he goes, "You're dark."
Yeah, I liked that one too.
What's your thirst trap over the episode?
Well, I've been having problems finding pictures for all of our thirst traps. So part of me wants to say when he's shouting no and moving the cabinet from the door in the when he's in the closet. But I'm actually just going to say any one of the times that Sam is being compassionate and understanding when he's talking to Max.
That's adorable.
So I'll be able to find a picture for that.
So my thirst trap is when the door opens and we see them both dressed as priests, because hallelujah, praise the Lord. Okay, that's hot.
I'll definitely be able to find a picture for that, so that's good.
I have many. Okay, many. I will help you with that.
MVP? It's got to be Sam, right?
Sam. 100%.
Yeah.
No question, Sam.
Yeah.
Fuck Dean. And not in the fun way.
Not in the fun way.
Not in the fun way. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe. We would be very grateful. And if you know someone who would enjoy it, please share.
You can find us on Instagram at The Witches of Letters Podcast, or you can email us at thewitchesofletters@gmail.com.
Until next time, stay safe out there, have each other's backs, and always keep fighting.